All right, welcome to the first video in the Renegade Forex Smart Money Concepts trading course. And in this video, I know there's going to be a lot of questions about how to set up TradingView, how to get the charts to look the way that I have them, and a lot of the drawing tools and stuff that I use throughout the teachings. And so for all of my new traders who are coming into this who have either been using different indicators, or perhaps you're just a totally brand new trader, welcome, and this episode is for you. So if you are an experienced trader and you perhaps already understand smart money concepts, or you also have an in-depth understanding of TradingView, you can actually skip this video and go on to the next video in the course. This will be one of the only times, I want you to mark my words, only one of the only times that you can actually skip any content in this course. Otherwise, this is designed to be step-by-step, and each lesson is building off of the next. But I understand that this course is going to have many different ranges of experience levels with trading. And so this video is to get a lot of the questions out of the way for my absolute beginner traders on how to set up TradingView. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And first things first, we don't use any indicators, as you probably are aware at this point in time. If you're not aware of that, Smart Money Concepts uses absolutely no indicators. We are using naked charts. And I personally try to keep my charts as clean as possible with little to no drawings. The only time I really ever annotate my charts with drawing tools is in situations like this, making a course, or for the VIP groups that I have, annotating so that the untrained eye can actually see what we're looking at. So as time goes on, I would urge you, and we'll talk about this later on in the course, I would urge you to use as little drawing tools as possible so that you can actually keep a clean chart, keep a clean mindset in your trading, and look at what the actual candles are doing, rather than having a bunch of extra jazz on your charts that ultimately, what I found through trading, actually confuses me more when I have stuff drawn out. And it kind of puts me into like a frame of mind where, because I have something drawn on the chart, I think that that's actually what has to happen. And drawing stuff on the chart kind of keeps me locked into like a more rigid frame of mind in trading, where when I have less stuff on the chart, it's a lot easier to adapt to what is actually happening in price. So that's just kind of my disclaimer on drawing tools. However, obviously, to teach you and to teach anyone how to trade, I have to actually draw stuff on the chart to show you what you're looking at. And so just to get everyone on the same page on the drawing tools that we're using and how to actually set that up, that's what this video is for. And so if you're in your TradingView, I'm using the actual desktop app, but it's the same for the Chrome browser, and it's also the same for the mobile. However, I would never recommend trying to trade from your phone. If that's the only option you have, then great, you can do that. But I would, as soon as you possibly can, invest in an actual desktop or laptop or whatever, because this type of trading, any trading in general requires a great attention to detail, and you're just not going to be able to have that on your device. So now that we got those few on your mobile device, I should say, now that we got those few disclaimers out of the way, let's actually get started with the lesson. If you're on TradingView desktop or the Chrome version, come up to the left-hand corner where you actually see your icon and click on that, and go ahead and make sure that the drawing panel is turned on. If it's turned off, your screen would look something like this. And I usually, in a lot of videos, actually have this off, but make sure it's turned on for right now to get this stuff set up. And then you can just click out of that and you will see this bar on the left, okay? So what you need to do is create, what I would recommend doing, I guess you don't have to do this, is create your actual favorites bar. And I believe that this happens when you actually start adding things as your favorite. So let's go ahead and just add tools as your favorite here, and I'll show you exactly what you need. So just under the crosshairs, and also if you want to change this, you can change it to a dot. If you want in the center of those big crosshairs on the screen, you want it to be a dot like that, you can change it. I keep it as the cross because it's a little bit, that's just how it's always been for me ever since I first started trading. So after that, you can come down here to the next icon below it. Yours may look something a little bit different. It's just because I've picked the trend line out of this column here. All you have to do is click to the right of that, and you will then see quite a few different objects here, or drawing tools here. And so let's go ahead and add the trend line as your favorite. Let's add the horizontal line as your favorite, the horizontal ray as your favorite, and the vertical line as your favorite. Now, obviously, we're going to be using some of these more than others, and over time, you can obviously, you can adjust this however you want, but these are some of the things that you're going to be using, or you're going to be seeing me use throughout this course. So after that, we'll come down to the next one, and you're going to need the fib retracement tool. So click star on that. After that, you may not necessarily need the brush or the highlighter. I use a lot of this just for like the teaching aspect, but I have that highlighted. I also have the rectangle highlighted, which is our box tool. I have the path and the curve. And you definitely need at least the rectangle. You probably will not be using this stuff quite as often unless you want to annotate something on a chart to share with the group or in a question or something like that. So definitely at least the rectangle. After you have that, you can then add your text and your anchored text as a favorite, as well as a call out, because this will be good for annotating questions or annotating your homework and stuff that we'll have throughout the course. And yeah, we'll also talk about some tips and tricks later on for the anchored text. After that, I think we can skip this one. Yeah, skip that. And then it'll come down to the next one. And you want to have your long position and your short position highlighted or favorited as well. And I think that's pretty much it. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And in doing the star feature, in checking that star icon, it should create a toolbar for you right here. And I think you can just, click and drag these in whatever order you want them to be in. This is obviously the order that I keep mine in. I don't ever change this toolbar, and I just keep it in the bottom right-hand corner. So let's go ahead and now set up our candlesticks and the colors and stuff that you have. And so what I would recommend doing, I talk about this in one of the next videos, but come up to the top, and in this area right here, go ahead and just click candles or whatever's showing here, and make sure you select candles. So the only way that this and everything that you're going to learn in this course works is with traditional candlesticks, with traditional Japanese candlesticks. We're not using Heikinashi. We're not using any of the line charts. We're only using this candle section. So, or this candle printing a price. So always have that selected. Don't ever use anything else because it doesn't work. And once you have that selected, we can then change our chart colors and our chart layouts. And so I think when you first open a TradingView account, I think that it basically has like a bunch of lines and stuff on the background, and it has different colored candles and everything. And so I have mine just as clean as I possibly can. And I'll show you how to actually set that up now. And so you right click on the chart and you go down to settings, and under symbol, you can see I have the colors selected. And just for, obviously, creative people will understand how to get this green off the screen, but to try to keep it unique to myself, I'm not going to actually share the hex codes with you, but you can come in and change the body. So the left side is actually the bull candles. Right side is the bear candles. So the body is the actual color that you see on the screen, and the same with the gray. That's the bear body that you see on the screen. And the borders I just have as jet black, and then the wicks I have as jet black as well. I would recommend customizing this to whatever colors suit you the best. I would try to avoid any colors that like inspire negative feelings. So I used to trade with blue, and that color, I don't know, after a while looking at it, it kind of started to mess with my head, I think, a little bit. And same with like reds and oranges and like neon colors. Those are going to burn your eyes out after a while of staring at charts. Not literally, just mostly joking, but try to make colors that are soft on your eyes and promote a positive mindset and that don't actually hurt your eyes from staring at the screen for a while. And so that's pretty much the candle colors. Next is the status lines, which I don't think we need to do anything. Well, if yours looks different than mine, then just make sure it looks the same here. We also then have the scales. You can just copy my setups here and the boxes that I have checked or unchecked. And then next we'll jump down to appearance, which is definitely one that we'll use. And so, or that you're going to probably want to customize. And so the background is the next big thing. And I used to, for a long time, use black charts. But I recently, within the last 6 months or so, decided to change to a white background. And I find that after every, 4 to 6 months, changing the background and changing your colors brings a nice like refresher to the way that you view charts. And so I recently have changed it to just completely be white. But however, if you want to change yours to black or a different color on the background, you'll do that here. And you can select a solid or a gradient. So sometimes you might see people with basically different shades of black using the gradient, or different shades of some color, and you can use the gradient or just the solid to customize that to whatever you want. I have session breaks turned on. So this is the end, basically the end of the New York session when the market closes at 5 New York time. And I have mine set to be just really barely visible. So I have it at 25% opacity, and the thickness here with a dotted line or a dashed line, so that you can just barely see it, but so that also when I'm looking at a chart, I can know when the session changed. And we'll get into sessions and stuff later on if you don't know anything about that. And then, yeah, you can match the rest of this to, or customize it if you want, to whatever you see fit. And then I think that's pretty much it. If you want to just come through here, pause this and copy what I have marked there. And then I have events turned off on this because we talk about later on a news service that I watched that I do that in order to just keep my charts as clean as possible. So yeah, that's pretty much setting up the actual chart itself. Now let's go ahead and set up the drawing tools that we have favorited as tools that we'll use on a regular basis. So first of all, let's do the trend line. What you're going to want to do throughout this course is actually not throughout this course, right now in this point in time, is actually set different templates for each of these tools. And so as I go through these, I'll tell you the template to do. However, I'm not going to actually take the time to set each individual time frame in each template that I have set up. I'm just going to do it once to show you how to do it. So go ahead and draw your trend line on the screen, which if you don't know, you can just click the actual trend line. You can then click on the screen and then drag it over and then click again, and that will close the trend line. A few keyboard tricks that you're going to definitely want to know is in drawing tools, mainly the trend line. If you click the trend line and then you go under or above a candle, so let's say, for example, this candle that the top of the crosshair or the vertical line is running through, let's say I want to draw a trend line at the bottom of that, then I can hold control and it will then snap TradingView to the bottom of that candle, and I can then click, and that will start the first end or the left end of the trend line, and I can then drag that wherever I want to on the screen. And if I want to create a perfectly straight line, a perfectly horizontal line, I can hold shift, and that will snap the trend line to be perfectly straight, and I can then drag it wherever I want to on the screen and click to close that. And so if any of you are wondering why I'm using the trend line right now, we don't mark trends as in like what retail traders do. So I don't want any of you to get scared by this trend line that I'm talking about. We'll talk about all this later on in the course. I literally only use this for highs and lows and to map breaks of structures. It's just that it's called a trend line. So don't be scared about trend lines and all that. And retail concepts. This is actually true smart money concepts with supply and demand, refined supply and demand. So yeah, back to the actual topic at hand here. With the trend line, after you draw it on the screen, you can then customize the color and the thickness of the line to actually suit whatever your style is. So you can do that by coming up here on this bar, and you can pick the color that you want it to be. You can pick the thickness of the line. So if you want it to be a thicker line, you can do that. I keep mine really thin. And then if you want it to be lined or dashed or dotted, you can do that as well. So then what we need to do is actually create templates, and I will show you how to do that now. So It depends. You don't necessarily need to copy exactly what I'm doing if something else makes sense for you. And obviously, if you're new to this, you're going to be changing these templates a lot throughout time as your trading skills progress and as your understanding changes. You're going to be changing these templates. So don't necessarily get too carried away, because I guarantee you, you're going to change it at least a few times throughout the process of this course and throughout your trading career. So um, what I would recommend doing, let me just show you my templates that I have, and we'll go from there. So I have the 15-minute, I have the 5-minute, and these honestly are like the main ones that I use most of the time when I'm actually marking this stuff on a chart. But you're going to want to do this for every time frame, and then I'll show you how to change the visibility for each time frame. So all you need to do, and this is just like for a little bit of reference, this is going to be for marking breaks of structure and the different time frames that we mark a break of structure on. So all you need to do, you can double click to open that setting bar as well, or just click once and go up to that bar, is right in, you're going to want the 1 minute, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly. And you can see those all up across here. And then if there's any other time frames as you progress, you can add those in as well. But I would just stick to those right now: the 1 minute, 5-minute, 15-minute, 4-hour, daily, and the weekly. And sorry, you're not going to write all that into the text box right now. You're just going to do one at a time. And so, for example, when you're creating the 5-minute, you would write 5M, or you can write out minute, whatever you want. Take the liberty to customize this to what makes sense for you. But you're going to write out 5M, and then you're going to come down here. After you have all the colors and everything set up and the style set up, and the visibility set up, which that reminds me really quick, for the minutes time frame, you only want it to be visible on the minutes and the seconds. For the hours time frame, you only want it to be visible on the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. For the daily time frames, you only want it to be visible on the daily, hours, minutes, and seconds. For the weekly, it's the same thing. You only want it to be visible on the weekly, daily, hour, minutes, and seconds. You can obviously customize that if it doesn't make sense for you. And yeah, we'll keep it at that, but set the visibility for like the 5-minute, for example. You only want the 5-minute to be visible for the 5-minute and lower. So that would be 1 through 5 on this. And then the seconds chart, if you use the seconds, which is not required, by the way, so don't get worried if you don't have that. And yeah, so once you have the visibility set, then come back to text and set your text and your colors and everything that you want that to be, and then come to template and click save as template. And then you can label this whatever you want. I just do 5-minute, and you can see 5-minute BOS stands for break of structure. So you can also add that in as well, whatever makes sense for you. And then just click save. This already exists for me, so I'm just going to click replace it. But for you, it would then create a new template. And so at this point in time, you can then come back and go, okay, I need my trend line. I see a 5-minute break of structure. I'm going to mark that here. I can come up to the top and then just click 5-minute, and that will show a 5-minute break of structure. And then, so yeah, like I said, do that for the 1 minute, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 4-hour, and the daily, and the weekly. Let's do the weekly just to be safe, even though it's a pretty widespread for most beginner smart money concepts traders. And yeah, that's how to do the trend line. So let's fly through the rest of these really quick, because it's getting to be a little bit longer video. You will then have a horizontal line. Honestly, I very rarely ever actually use this, but you can set that up as well. We will then have the horizontal ray, which I do use this to mark out higher time frame highs and lows. And so you can set that up as well. I use it as a dotted line to show me as a target. So like I would be using this on a low like this back here. And I would then on a lower time frame say, okay, somewhere on the left is a low that I'd be targeting to aim down here. Okay. And so you want this to be a little bit, well, definitely have it be different than this trend line, but it doesn't have to be so extreme that it's, like a different color or anything like that. Just have it be something different than the other lines that you've set up so far. And then the curve line, mine looks like that. The path, I usually have it as a crazy killer because I'm using it to annotate something for students. So it will look like that. And then the box is another one that we're definitely going to be using, or the rectangle tool. And so for the rectangle, what this does is you click it and you can then drag it and click again to close it. And the way that I have mine set up is, well, I'm not going to show you the colors just because I want to keep my charts unique and avoid any kind of confusion, but I would have it as somewhat of a transparent hue. And so whatever kind of transparency or color you want to have that be, and then we're going to use that for marking up supply and demand zones. And so, yeah, we're going to be using it for simply our points of interest, which we'll go into depth later on. So that's what mine looks like. And that's another major one that we're going to be using all the time. Vertical line, I very rarely ever actually use this. I could probably actually clean up my my favorite taskbar here. But yeah, that's what mine looks like, is the dotted. And then we have the long and short positions, which we'll use on a regular basis, which mine look like this. And so you can customize those by clicking on them. Same idea, going into settings, changing the colors. And the green is my stop loss, green is stop loss, and gray is gain or reward. And we'll go over that stuff later on. So customize those. Then we have the Fibonacci tool. And so again, with the Fibonacci, we're not actually using this similar to the trend lines. We're not using this in the same way that retail traders do. We're simply using this as a measurement tool. And so I have mine set up to be completely transparent on the 100 and the 0 lines. And then the 75, 50, and the 25 are shown. 25 and the 75 are a little bit lighter colored than the middle, than the 50. And so I would annotate yours in a way that makes sense by clicking on it, coming up to settings, and I'll just show you really quick that the extend lines right are shown on mine. And then I have the 1, 75, 25, 0, and the 50 highlighted, and you can get rid of the rest of them because we don't actually use it the way that it's intended to be used. We use it as a measuring tool, and you can save that as a template if you want. I think also if you just set it up this way, I think it just saves it. Could be totally wrong, but if you're worried about that or having to redo it, then just save it as a template. So yeah, that's the fib tool. And after that, we then have the text. These are all pretty self-explanatory. You can set them up however you want. I'm not going to go through that super in depth. But yeah, those text, the anchored text, the actual text icon itself, the normal one, the call out, those will be things that you can use to help annotate and take notes. And then you'll have the brush if you decide to add that, and the highlighter. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the crash course on TradingView. Another thing I just realized that you'll probably have or need to have set up is having your time frames added as the favorite. I think when you first open a TradingView account that it only has one up here maybe. So if you come to this drop down, you're going to want to favorite the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, the 4 hour, the daily, and the weekly. And those will be the main time frames that you're working on. If you're someone who wants to refine down to the seconds, and if you pay for the premium version of TradingView like I do, you can add in the 15-second chart. And if you want to get really crazy, you can do the 5-second and the 1 second. But that's very advanced. And most people who are using this course and taking this course probably won't ever, you'll probably be a long ways off before you actually use that. So if you don't have the premium version, you don't have the seconds chart, is not required. I actually very rarely ever use it and consistently go back and forth between downgrading my plan. So no need to worry if you don't have that. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up this video, and we'll get started in the next lessons on actually learning to trade with smart money concepts and refined supply and demand.